Hi, good morning. Good morning. I was so nervous about today because I got on the phone with Mindy to talk about this event, and she almost immediately was like, I'm vetting you. You need to be good. This is the first time we're doing this event, and you cannot suck. And you know, somebody told me you were speaking, and I was like, I'm talking to her first. And I'm listening on the phone, and I'm like, okay, I can't suck. Damn it. How many of you are scientists? Just me. Hey, there's one. Kind of. I mean, really, choose. You can still say you're a scientist even if you're not, in a lab. I figured I would be talking to a group of people that I don't normally talk to, and that's why I was nervous. I usually talk to scientists. I talk to people who care about land conservation, are interested in environmental policy, or are angry about something that the city's doing or that the city's not doing. This sort of situation is like super low-key, and I didn't know how to handle it. So we're gonna go on an adventure together. Accelerated authenticity, I think, is what I heard already today, and I like that. We're gonna talk about preserve. This could mean so many things, right? What are we preserving? I dedicate my life to this word in some shape or form every morning when I get out of bed. I want to preserve my inspiration. I want to preserve my joy. I want to preserve my community. I want to preserve my mind and body. And I go to work at the city of Boise to try and preserve special places for people who live here. It's pretty sweet. I mean, I always say they're going to have to pry this job out of my cold, dead hands. This is my mild-mannered alter ego. That's my son, Lucas. He's 7. And my husband, Robert. He's an ecologist. It's all in the family. Where there's no dogs, but we do have 2 tiny Australian shepherds as well, and I love them. This picture, I chose it because this is what you want people to see, right? Got a happy little family, we're in the foothills, it's beautiful. The picture that is supposed to be after it, but isn't, because I couldn't find the right image, is what it really looks like inside. Which I ended up landing on the Simpsons cat lady, because when I Googled wild feral monster lady, nothing came up that I wanted to share. But I have a job that stresses me, that challenges me. I have a family that I take care of. If I wrote down all the jobs that I had in one day, it would be 3 columns long. And I'm sure there are mothers out there who appreciate that, and good work to all you ladies and the men who support you. I wake up every day thinking, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. There are people who want to enjoy the trails. There are people who want to see wildlife in the foothills. There are people who want to send their kids to environmental education programs at the Foothills Learning Center or Bugs, and all of that has to work in a way that's seamless, easy experience, and a wonderful experience for you guys. So that's preservation to me, is making all of that work. And in order to do that, I have to focus on myself sometimes, but we'll get to that in a minute. Oh, it is in there. Good. I'm hopeful that you all appreciate this, right? We all have our lives. and yet it's a challenge to keep yourself inspired and not feel like you're falling apart sometimes. And part of what I wanted to talk about today, in addition to like, how you can get involved with restoring landscapes, which BTW is restorative to the soul and mind. There is science to back that up, that if you're outside and you're planting things like these folks, your brain chemistry and your physiology changes. You become more relaxed. You're not in fight or flight. You're not anxious. You're releasing happy chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, not OxyContin. They're very close together, and sometimes I confuse them. But they're different. Things that make you feel like you're connected. And as humans, that is a core need. And little did you know that weeding a garden, that planting a sagebrush, or helping us manage invasive species on our common areas, our open space reserves, is good for you personally, not just the community as a whole. All of those folks that you're looking at pictures of have participated in volunteer events for our restoration program. And it is so rewarding to get to work with people like this who care and see those smiles. We work with schools, we work with adults, we work with Rotary Club, we could work with CreativeMornings. To get folks outside and experiencing the landscape and understanding what they're looking at when they're taking a hike. Okay, there she is again. She's gonna keep popping up. Going back to, not messing it up. I am 39 years old. I am in a supervisory position that I question my qualifications for probably on a daily basis. The amount of weird stuff that comes up when you work in the public domain is, you just can't prepare for that. I mean, I'll just a little side note. I got a call one day, this one's funny. And this guy's like, I was hiking in the foothills, and I saw 2 dead mice. This cannot be a coincidence. I'm like, okay. It might be a coincidence. I don't know. I think he thought the plague was coming. Turns out he was on private land and trespassing, so it wasn't my problem. But there's always an opportunity for failure, and I think that if you're in a creative position or a creative field that's considered creative, or if you're a scientist background like me who's trying to be a land manager and a supervisor and an environmental policy expert, there's always opportunity for failure. And I love that quote because you can fail in so many amazing, beautiful ways. But success always just looks, you did it. Great. On to the next thing that you might fail at. Jerry Seinfeld got booed off the stage the first time he, picked up a microphone to do an act. I think about that. The Wright brothers were called the wrong brothers for a long time because a lot of their attempts to do something bold failed. It happens. And humor is so important. Abe Lincoln, he was a funny guy apparently. That's what I hear anyway. But he didn't make it into the White House on his first try. Not that I would want that job. But I think about these folks every day. I think about people that I respect and admire, and it helps inspire me to try again, get out on that limb. It's gonna feel uncomfortable. And I try and think about this girl. So that's me. And that's my tap dance troupe. When I was, what do you think? How old do you think I was? Probably 8. I mean, if I could zoom in, I'd like to call your attention to my face in the first picture where I'm striking a pose, which I don't know if I just struck that pose or if somebody gave me some direction. That may have just been my own idea of what I wanted to do, but look at how confident I am. I am rocking that tap dance outfit. I don't care. And in the other pictures with my group, you can tell I'm the biggest girl in that group. And when you're a little girl, you don't want to be the biggest girl. You want to be the littlest girl or the most easily hidden girl. My face is a little different in that picture. But she, this is this is the other person that's inside me besides the crazy cat lady and a feral monster that I'm not going to show you. And I think about her too to get inspiration and to remember my joy and to remember why I do what I want to do every day, to try and make the world a better place to live in. She's just rocking sequin sashes. So Mindy asked me, okay, talk a little bit about inspiring people, talk a little bit about your job, but nobody wants to hear anything from a government worker about what they do, which I get. I totally get. I worked at nonprofit for about 8 years. Before that, I worked in the private sector. I've always been living at the intersection of people and place. Going out and documenting what endangered species exist on a plot of land that's about to be developed. Trying to provide suggestions, really, is what it turns out to be, for how to mitigate that impact. Got into environmental advocacy because I wanted to help communities be the architects of their neighborhoods, not from a building perspective, but from a preservation perspective. We all have to drink clean water, we all have to breathe clean air, and we all want to get outside because it's good for us. And if we don't want to get outside, see me afterwards and I'll make you get outside and you'll thank me later. And that was a really wonderful job. And then when the city job came up, I really thought long and hard about whether or not I wanted to work for the government. Because, it's a fishbowl. And I finally decided, if I'm not part of the solution, I'm the precipitate. And to my scientific homies out there, you know what I'm saying. A solution includes molecules of water and other stuff. You put sugar into water, you whirl it around, it dissipates. It disapparates. Sorry. This is not Harry Potter. You know what I'm talking about. Dilution. What's the word? Come on. Dissolves. Thank you. Anywho, it dissolves. And then if you cooled it down, heated it up, in different ways you can extract that sugar back out, and that's called a precipitate. I recreate in the foothills for respite, mentally, physically. I care about having wildlife in my backyard. I want my son to be able to look for dead rabbits in the foothills, or coyote poop, or beavers, and learn about nature through the seasonal changes that you see in Dry Creek, for example. I decided that I wanted to be part of that solution and continue to make that commitment, I think, every day. And it's so easy sometimes to slip out of solution and become part of the precipitate and feel less connected to, the fluid situation that is our world. But it's imperative that we all stay in solution. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I wanted to share with you. I love the city. I love working for the city. We have a great mayor and council who support this type of work. It's something we should not take for granted. And I'm happy to answer questions about the specific stuff that I do on a daily basis if you care. But other than that, just, be part of the solution. Okay, no questions? Nothing? Come on. You all know everything about the trail system. Yeah.
Is it a lot like the TV show Parks and
I do, and yes. I haven't gotten into a dog poop bag throwing fight with any teenagers lately, but yeah, it's kooky, man. There are many times when we're in, I'm in a meeting. So I work with the Parks and Rec leadership team, which includes the zoo, which includes parks and recreation. So there's parks and then there's recreation programs. My division, which is open space and foothills. And so we get everybody. I mean, everybody in the city. You think, close your mind and think of everybody you've seen walking the streets of Boise. They all use our facilities in some way, shape, or another. So it's nutty. It's fun though. I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's like, it's always different. Anybody else? Oh, there we go. Go for it.
Are there any new trails coming up that you're really excited about?
Yes. Stack Rock Reserve. Anybody know where that is? Raise them high and proud. There it is. It's a hike in. You got to go, well, what, like 3.5 miles in to get to Stack Rock from Bogus Basin. It is a very popular reserve, and we've had parking trouble on the side of the road for a long time. Well, Forest Service got a grant to put in a big trailhead. So you may have seen it on your way up to the ski hill this last year. It looks like a grand entrance. We are building a trail connection that's about 1.7 miles from that new trailhead across to a safe crossing area across Bogus Basin Road so that you can access Stack Rock without taking your life into your hands crossing Bogus Basin Road. We just recently put in a loop over by Hidden Springs called Landslide Loop, which is another couple miles. Trail building's funny because it's just moving dirt and you'd think it'd be simple, but the foothills that you look at are like a patchwork of land ownership. Private, public, private, public, private, 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 public. And so trying to figure out how to get across those lands in a sustainable route, we have incredibly erosive soils, if you haven't noticed, is challenging. A couple years ago, we were gifted 25 miles of trail. Dry Creek, Daniels Creek, if anyone's familiar with those, it's beautiful, beautiful trails, beautiful country to go through from the Grossman family. So that was a huge donation. Normally, year to year, you're looking at 5 to 7 miles of new trail being built, if we're lucky. So, thanks. Yeah.
Is there a place for the general public to look at like trail conditions?
Yes.
How to volunteer?
It's like I planted you in the office. So we have a Facebook page, Ridge to Rivers Facebook page, and we post daily trail conditions. So when it's muddy, we don't want folks out on the trails. Trails that are in areas where there's a lot of clay in the soil really hold moisture. And it kind of ruins the design of the trail that would normally kind of shuffle water off the alignment so it doesn't rut. So you can get Facebook updates through the Facebook page, daily trail updates. We also have a new interactive map on ridgetorivers.org that allows you to get 3D imagery. So you could digitally map your route before you go out. It has black diamonds, green circles, and blue squares to help folks understand kind of what they're getting into. So those are two good ways to find information. You can also buy paper maps if you're into that sort of thing at Idaho Mountain Touring and some other shops. So, what else?
Question. I live out in Eagle and use those trails out there, the Eagle Sports Complex.
Yeah.
Connected sometimes to Stevens Village and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of confusion onto what trails e-bikes are supposed to be using and what trails are not. So is that information on that same site?
The Eagle Bike Park should be. The Eagle Bike Park's a little unique. And one of the challenges, it's at that area, right? Isn't the bike park right there?
Yeah, there's signs some places that say no e-bikes.
Yes.
And then there's signs other places that say e-bikes.
Because this is, and I don't know how many of you know about e-bikes or use e-bikes, but this is a good question because I get it all the time and it's not like black and white. Because of that different land ownership, there are different agency and different rules about what can and cannot occur on certain lands. The city of Boise and some other, and I think Eagle also, are sort of trying to provide accessibility to folks with disabilities by identifying routes where e-bikes are appropriate. And then we have to tell folks when they're going to enter onto a trail that would take them onto a property where e-bike isn't allowed. Because it's a combustion engine. I mean, it's not a combustion engine, it's an engine. And so federal agencies don't allow motorized use on non-motorized trails. And so there's a little challenge, even if it's for an accessibility issue. The one caveat I would say is if you use a wheelchair or an other power-driven mobility device as your primary, mobility, you can go wherever you want. It's just that it's very steep. So we try and, on the Ridge to Rivers page, there's accessible trails. So we try and give information to folks on, what trails are more accessible and where e-bikes can be used.
I'm concerned as a non-e-bike rider
Mm-hmm.
because they go quite fast and they're quite a bit heavier.
Yeah, they are much
So,
heavier.
Yeah, I've just had
Yeah.
friends that haven't been.
Yeah. Well, the what's it called? The Disabilities Act requires that cities provide accessibility, and e-bikes are considered an accessibility device. So, yeah. Okay. Mindy says I'm done.
Yeah, I really like that about you.
Thanks.